So one of the great things about making rosin is that you can do it at home in your own living room. All you need is heat, pressure, parchment paper, and your input material. So really, to get started, the higher the temperature, the more terpene loss you're going to experience. So when you're pressing with a hair straightener, you want to set it on a low setting, toy with it, and really figure out where you're getting the best results. It's been shown in studies that volatile terpenes and other terpenes tend to be lost with higher temperatures, and we always recommend pressing in the 200 to 220 range. Now, if you're pressing with a hair straightener, you might not have that much control, but getting a thermometer or other ways, you can try and set it to a lower temperature to get higher terpene preservation and ultimately a higher quality product. Now, when you're pressing with a hair straightener, another thing that you can look out for is actually getting a set of clamps to increase the pressure to increase your yield. Pressing with a hair straightener can give you great results. However, usually the yields are a little bit low due to the inconsistency in temperature and in pressure. So, again, check out Cannabis Training University for other videos to learn exactly how you can dial in the details of pressing with a hair straightener at home or other small presses. So rosin is one of the safest, if not the safest, extraction methods, especially when compared to BHO or other closed-loop systems. Since there's only heat and pressure being involved, you never have to deal with flammable solvents that in some cases, when it makes the news, blows up people's houses. Rosin being safe really is going to lend itself to proliferating across the industry so that you're going to see a lot of it. Now, when you're looking for a rosin press and you're ready to graduate up from the hair straightener, there's two major ways that they're made. One is pneumatic and the other is hydraulic. When you're looking at a hydraulic press and you're looking online, chances are you're going to see a lot of people that have made a press at home with a repurposed shop press, and typically they're hydraulic. Now, you really need to be careful because if you have a cheap hydraulic press and you've put something together yourself, that hydraulic fluid can leak into your material if you're not careful. So when you're considering which rosin press that you want to pick up, or if you're even looking into making one of your own at home, make sure that you're considering the element that if you can get away with a pneumatic press, or such as our Pikes Peak rosin press, which is also pneumatic, you're going to be looking for something that doesn't extrude oil, which would pretty much defeat the purpose of making rosin in the first place. So when you're looking for a rosin press, one thing that you're also going to see are big square plates. Now, the physics of rosin really work by when heat and a pressure is applied to the material, it's liquefying and increasing the viscosity of the essential oils and cannabinoids in the material itself. Now, when you're doing that, by extruding that oil, if your heating surface is too large or it's a square plate, you're going to have your oil sitting on the heat for much longer, which is going to reduce your terpene quality, which is really going to drive down the ultimate quality of your product. So when you're looking for a rosin press, a couple things to look out for are, what do the heat plates look like? Are they long and narrow so the oil escapes quickly, or are they square and rectangular where that oil is going to sit there? You definitely want to look for long and narrow if you can afford it. Another thing that you want to look for is pneumatic presses tend to be more reliable and offer a better product and more even heat distribution. Not to mention they're typically quite a bit quieter. Again, it all depends on what your budget is. It depends on what's available to you and what you're really shooting for. So when you're shopping for a rosin press, one thing that you really want to do is start asking some questions. First and foremost, is this press hydraulic or pneumatic? If so, a lot of the presses out there that are co-opted shop presses that are hydraulic, they aren't really meant to do what they're doing, and you'll see online that there's a lot of frame failures. Another thing to look out for is, what are the shape of the heat plates? Is it a square, is it a rectangle, or is it long and narrow? Now, with long and narrow plates, you're really going to run into much higher terpene preservation in your product because the oil isn't sitting on that heat for as long. Another question that you need to ask is, what safety features are included in this press? Rosin inherently is one of the safest extraction methods. However, what you really want to make sure is that, are there fail-safes? Are there ways that you're not going to get your fingers pinched? Things like that, just to ensure that you're having the best experience possible. The last question you're probably going to want to look for is this rosin press purpose-built? Now, the first generation of rosin presses really are co-opted t-shirt presses, heated shop presses, and things that weren't really designed to make rosin in the first place, but because they apply heat and pressure, we're used to do so. So when you're looking for a rosin press that's going to give you the highest quality output, the best yields, and the best user experience, always make sure that you're asking, is this a purpose-built machine, and is it going to do exactly what I need it to? When you're pressing rosin, one thing that you really need to look for is, of course, what is the pressure? We get a lot of questions here saying, I've got a 15-ton press, I've got a 20-ton press. They go even up as high as 50. Now, when you're pressing rosin, you absolutely need to have enough pressure. And what that really comes down to is a calculation of the pound force. Now, if you're applying too much pressure when you're pressing rosin, you're going to end up pushing undesirables into your material. So you're going to have plant fats, the lipids, the waxes, organic compounds that because of extra pressure are being extruded into the rosin itself, typically decreasing its quality. This is a common problem with hydraulic presses that run at way too high of pressure. So when you're looking at a rosin press and you're trying to figure out what the optimal amount of pressure is, you need to calculate how much is being applied based on the square inch footprint of the bag or what you're putting on the plates themselves. So the Pikes Peak rosin press offers 10,000 pounds of force. It's a pneumatic, oilless, maintenance-free cylinder. And to really calculate how much pressure you're getting so that you can run your tests and figure out where you're seeing the best results, take the amount of pressure that's being applied and then divide it by the square inch footprint of the bag. So for example, when we're applying 10,000 pounds of force to a 10 square inch bag, you're going to get 1,000 pounds per square inch of force at the plate. So in order to get a full extraction, what we found is that you really need to be pressing at above 500 psi. When you're at that rate, at least as an optimal place to start, that's where you're going to get your best shot at starting your tests, figuring out where your yields are, and having your best opportunity to get the highest quality product. Now on the other end of the spectrum, if you're pressing with way too much pressure, a couple thousand pounds per square inch, for example, then you're going to start finding that you're blowing out your bags, you're wasting your material, or you're reducing the quality of your rosin because you're applying too much force. So again, highly encourage you to test, experiment, try different temperatures, try different pressures, try different materials, and see what's really working best for you. With rosin, there's quite a bit of variability. You're going to see that one strain might yield excellently, while another one might be a little bit of a dud. What you're really going to look for there is, what is the resin content? Is it a sativa or an indica? We've seen a lot of variability between them. So we're going to go in, we've got some material here, we're going to press and show you exactly how it's done.